Words start to get caught in my throat. London felt sparkly and new just a few months ago, but already I'm growing numb to the flashing lights and the crowds of people. A man with a microphone asks a girl how much her bag costs. Her friend films a few feet away. A whippet in a striped coat walks along the pavement. A raggedy woman offers me a rose, but I just keep walking. A brightly colored van hands out free sweets, pushing handfuls into my palms. A homeless man says, "God bless you," his head slumped, his paper cup empty. The quiet street that leads to my parents' house feels like a distant memory. I wonder if I dreamed it. I think of Em and I biking home, her sitting on the handlebars, me pedaling hard. I think of the sickly sweet cinnamon buns we used to buy in packs of 6, spreading them out across the entire school week, half for her, half for me, licking up the last few curls of icing off our fingers. Moving here felt like it meant something, feels like it means something, but I haven't developed any film in weeks. I blame it on the sky and the rain. I blame it on a headache or a tight schedule. I tell my pounding heart to slow. I tell my anxious hands to rest. I tell my spinning mind to ease. I tell Em what she needs to hear. I brush her hair and file her nails. I tell her what tube stop to get off so we can get to her appointments on time. I hold her dreams in my hands and close my fists tight. I've been keeping them safe for years. Why stop now? I wrote a book about a friendship that knows no bounds, not in love or art or physical space, and as they grow up, their shared dream is tested across countries, across rejection and romance, forcing them to choose between themselves, between each other, and these lives that they've been not only dreaming of but also living. What happens when we move to a new city and the world feels somehow more accessible than it did before? I guess our own world is more accessible than it was before. And as much as the newness is exciting, it tends to wear off, and what you're left with is facing who you are and the routines that you had or continue to have or have had to make. And then there's this new sense of identity that comes with it too, like where you take on these new personas that maybe you look around and notice other people are doing and how they're dressing, what things they're interested in. You just sort of fall in line with what you think is expected of you, whether it's true or not. And in my book, the protagonist is a little wild and she's a little reckless, even when she's trying to fit in, and she almost tries to fit in a little too hard and always pushes a little too tight. And there's this longing about her, and I think she thinks it's going to go away when she moves somewhere new. And in this passage, she's really learning what things are staying the same and what things have changed, because this longing inside of her and this like aching that she feels has traveled with her and has stuck with her across cities that she's lived in. And she's watching this friendship in her life change, and she's putting pressure on London to reveal what is new about her and what is more grown up about her or what has been refined in her when so much of her really hasn't changed, and the wanting to change almost isn't enough of a change at all. There's something very passive about the way that she takes everything in. She's not interacting with anything really, not she's watching the flashing lights, she's hearing the buzz of the cars. She's just letting things move past her. She's very passive in the way that she's experiencing this new city, and the passiveness that was there before she moved and before, you know, the city opened up for her is still there, and she's just watching things go by. All of these things that she wished would change kind of haven't. Her passion, her hobby is still on pause, and she's looking for things to blame because she thought that moving somewhere new would be enough. I think I've felt this too, and at the time for me, moving somewhere new kind of was enough, and um, it did give me the illusion of change, or, you know, real change too, but also the mental shift that I wanted. It kind of hands it to you, and what's a lot harder, and what the protagonist definitely doesn't do at any point, is have an interior change unprompted by a change in circumstance. Here, the protagonist says, moving here felt like it meant something, feels like it means something. And she's really clinging to these ideas more than action. None of the things that she wanted to change really have. The protagonist has this idea that changing your circumstances will change maybe your output or your perception of yourself, but that's really never gonna change. And you see it here. She says, I blame it on a headache or a tight schedule. And she tells her pounding heart to slow, her anxious hands to rest. But there's never any questions here. There's never. She's just in it now, and she follows it, and she is okay with it, and yet the longing is still there. And moving seems to be a point in which the protagonist wants this move to be more of a catalyst than it truly is, and she feels really stuck with the circumstances she's in as she grows up, and she waits for the world to open up to her. And I think when she realizes that the world has no plans to serve her anything on a silver platter, first she gets very, very lethargic and I guess passive, and continues the things that have worked, that continues the things that have got her by. And obviously this passage leaves when she says, I hold her dreams in my hands and close my fists tight. I've been keeping them safe for years. Why not stop now? But there's also this unwritten part that is, why change now too? Why think that there is more when they've taken this first step and they've moved together to this new country? why ask for more when they should be able to have what they've been looking for? London felt sparkly and new just a few months ago, but already I'm growing numb. It just had this temporary effect, and now what's going to push the protagonist forward and actually bring her closer to these dreams that she has and that she clings so tightly to is going to be the change in her and in her relationships and in how she moves. She can no longer, she tries to put blame on exterior things like the rain and the sky and schedules and anything else she can find, but she's learning slowly, and she's going to have to learn a little bit quicker that the change has to come from within her. This book is nearly finished, and you really get to watch as the protagonist chases her dreams with all her might and um, looks for things that she believes to already be hers. And today we have been exploring what that looks like when you believe something to already be yours and you make a change, like moving to a new country or even just to a new city, or sometimes as simple as moving to a new apartment or a new house, and you wait for that to be enough. And when it's not, it almost feels confusing, and it feels like I've put in so much effort. Why are things not turning out the way I want them to? And it's always that, work smarter, not harder. And that applies to chasing your dreams too. Like putting your energy in the wrong area is just a waste. And I'm not even saying you shouldn't make a change or you shouldn't start over or start somewhere new. And it was important that the protagonist moves to a new city, but it's this inevitable feeling of thinking things are going to change just by that one change, and realizing that that is just the beginning of everything that you are going to now have to offer and have to give of yourself for this dream and for this new life that you're chasing. It's the next, that always feels like the hardest part, the packing of the bags and the getting on the plane and the finding the apartment. But what's really hard is when the excitement dies down and you're left with a life that you have to live that is unfamiliar and foreign and has none of the gleam or sparkle that you hoped it would, or even that it had when you first arrived. And the protagonist is sitting with this now, and us as the readers were waiting to find out what she's going to do with this and in what ways she's going to find that glimmer again and find that drive again when there is this lull, and when she realizes that changing her circumstances just wasn't enough.